we got the scoop on how Diddy's footage got in 50 Cent's Diddy documentary. Also, that juror who seemed to be a pretty big fan of Diddy, that might come back to haunt her. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore with updates for you regarding the Diddy documentary. A lot of you were watching that video and just shocked as I was. The documentary is now getting criticism. I don't think it's really a shameful documentary at all from what I've seen. There wasn't a lot of new stuff revealed. What was most shocking was the new footage that Diddy shot days before his arrest. Where did it come from? How did they get it? It's footage of him talking to his lawyers. Crazy, but spokesman for Combs called the 4-part documentary titled Sean Combs' The Reckoning a shameful hit piece that relied on stolen footage. I mean, it's definitely negative towards Sean, and yeah, it definitely relies on that footage. It's definitely the coolest part about it. It includes what, I mean, because we know the story. If you never knew the story, I guess it would be different. It includes what Netflix described as explosive footage filmed in the days before his arrest, including a phone conversation with his lawyer. Combs was convicted of prostitution. Spokesman said it was fundamentally unfair and illegal to use his private recordings, but Netflix said the material was obtained legally. It was unfair. Now, the question is, was it illegal? Was there a contract? What happened? Personal vendetta. Combs' spokesman said it was staggering that Netflix had given creative control to Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, who he described as a longtime adversary with a personal vendetta. Netflix is plainly desperate to sensationalize every minute of Mr. Combs' life without regard for truth in order to capitalize on never-ending media frenzy. I mean, they put a lot of stuff in there from what I've seen. Yeah, this is people's story. It's they're allowed to tell the story of their experience with Diddy. They are. And if it's not true, well, then go sue him, Diddy, right? If Netflix cared about truth or about Mr. Combs' legal rights, it would not be ripping private footage out of context. Out of context, okay. Including conversations with his lawyers that were never intended for public viewing, then don't film them. I do believe, because I didn't film my conversations with my lawyers for my own documentary, if you film your conversations with your lawyers, then you do lose the privilege, because it's not between you and your lawyer. It's between you and other people and a camera. And therefore, that's not privilege. So come on, his lawyers have to have known this, but they're trying to make it sound more sleazy. No rights in that material were ever transferred to Netflix or any third party. This is, to me, where it's coming from. And we're going to get into the reason what I've heard as well. This is where it comes down to it. The statement added, for Netflix to give his life story to someone who has publicly attacked him for decades feels like an unnecessary and deeply personal affront. Now, it sounds like it's money. They wisely marketed it properly with 50 Cent, which made it way more interesting than a nobody. At a minimum, he expected fairness from people he respected. The audacity of Sean Combs. He expected fairness. I'm sure a lot of people in your circles who have felt your wrath would probably say the same thing about you, bud. So the irony is noted. Look, as we went all through this, there's a lot of stuff in here. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't understand what this argument is. So how did they get the footage? I don't want to keep teasing it. How did they get the footage? Well, shout out to Rob Shutter. I had heard this from a source. Shutter confirmed it, and then I had a third source give me something else. Yeah, this is what I've heard as well, so I can confirm the exclusive. So I guess, can I call it exclusive too, since I knew it first? I guess he reported it first, but we're going to say exclusive. Let me tell you something from my own experience working with Diddy. Rob Shutter has a lot to say because he worked for Diddy for a long time. So I will give him the shout out. The sources whispering in my ear now confirm the exact same thing. Diddy never paid the videographer, not $1, and he never had a signed contract. And honestly, that was classic Diddy. I was around him back in the day, and I was shocked at how sloppy he was when it came to paperwork. He always had photographers and video crews trailing him everywhere, all the time. But because he was cheap, he refused to do formal contracts. He just expected loyalty. He expected silence. And at the time, he was so powerful, no one dared release anything without his approval. But here's the truth. No one wants to say it out loud. When you go to jail and suddenly someone's offering the cameraman money for footage, honey, that's not betrayal. That's a business opportunity. And it's absolutely Diddy's own fault. 100% more. Now, I do know a little bit more about how and who and what happened with this footage, and it's pretty hilarious, but I'm not going to give you the specifics because I think Rob is saying enough here, and I'll protect these people who I think are trying to protect themselves. But yeah, it's almost as if, like, you know, he didn't check that the guy he had on staff signed the paperwork. Could it have been a different guy that day? Whatever. And yeah, it sounds like Rob's confirming you didn't get him to sign that paperwork. You were having him follow you around with your damn lawyers, and no one in your camp thought, make sure you sign that guy down. So if he's following you around and you didn't get a signed contract and then you didn't pay him, those rights revert back to him, especially when you go to jail. So a lot of that stuff's walking around public. You can't just have someone film you and then assume, oh, it's mine because you filmed me. No, you have to have a contract. You have to pay and have a business transaction. Otherwise, you're inviting the camera and the cameraman into your home and your business, into your legal meetings. Dude, it's over. It's over. Now at the net, so I assume that cameraman, exactly as he just said, okay, I got this footage. He's in jail. Oh man, 50 Cent Netflix, they're willing to pay me a mint to get this footage out. Sorry, Diddy. I'm taking this deal. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him. This is what Diddy gets for not paying his employees. It's your fault, dude. Do better paperwork. Pay your employees right. That's how you build actual loyalty. Now that the Netflix documentary is out, produced by 50 Cent of all people, Diddy's lawyers are calling it a shameful hit piece built on stolen footage. They're furious because the doc includes those explosive private recordings from days before his arrest, even a phone call with his lawyers. But let's be real, Netflix is a multi-billion-dollar corporation. They don't air a single photo without teams of lawyers clearing every frame and every copyright. That director insists they obtained it legally, and my industry sources back that up. They don't always get the clearance, as we've learned from my Johnny Depp documentary. And I will say, I can't say much more about that. It's complicated. It's complicated, but I have to always be transparent with you guys. As we know, they don't always. But when they do, they might try to check up or figure out what they can do, and who knows. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, it's true. You can't have that footage, especially if it's not fair use, especially if it's not transformative. You can't just take the footage and then do it unless you know you're confident you own it. And if someone else shot it, then it's no longer Diddy's. Unless Diddy has a contract saying, I paid a business guy to pay this business transaction for this guy to have it. So unfair, maybe. I don't even think it's unfair. Illegal, doubtful. Surprising, not at all. This is what happens when you run an empire without contracts. And the empire collapses. Remember, if you're going to be naughty, be nice. Go cheers and sign up for Rob Shutter on his email list because it's very good stuff. Yeah, look, this is dumb. This was so dumb. Are you surprised Diddy was dumb? Speaking of dumb, this juror. Why did this Netflix juror have everyone furious at the black woman juror from the trial? Well, because she looks like she's a Diddy stan. It's like insane. People are furious at Juror 160. She's getting heavily criticized for her interviews. They felt her commentary and demeanor suggested she may have been too fanned out, and described how Combs would look towards a juror during a particular segment. It felt like it was something that he wanted, I guess, approval on. He would look towards us and be like, as she begins to nod her head, showing she agreed with him. Sometimes look over to us like, can you believe they said that? It was funny to see because I had the same facial expressions that he did at times when someone else said that didn't make much sense. Girl, that's not what a juror is supposed to do. The fact that you're now promoting this in a Netflix documentary almost feels like, yeah, you wanted this all for the clout. Clips of her documentary went viral. Viewers interpreted her body language and facial. She must be biased. She smiles way too hard talking about the diddler. Way too hard. I agree. The whole world was in shock. Some cried for casting the victims. Our stomachs were in knots. And this heifer was smiling and eyes light up thinking about the diddler. GTFOH. Sorry, I'm just reading what the internet's saying. Another wrote, like, seriously. Do we have these in here? I think they're on the bottom. Like, seriously. Oh, here we go. I guess no, that's a different one. Oh yeah, like seriously, she was giving fan vibes and it's making too many excuses for him. Just like people around him. I'm sorry, but a black woman who was a juror in Diddy's case and shown in their documentary is a big ass fan of Diddy and was definitely swayed by him. Look at all her smiles, giggles, reactions. I had so many questions as to why Diddy got only the time he did. Watching the Diddy documentary, it all made sense. Juror 160 was starstruck and Juror 75 had no real grasp of the cycle of abuse. The defense was fighting a losing battle from day one. 1,000% factual. You're gonna get a like for that one because it's absolutely true. Yeah, it also reinforced some people just can't be rehabilitated or by incarnation. incarceration. I agree with that as well. Look, Diddy's a lost cause. It's why I don't really want to keep reporting on it, but it's just, he just messes up so much that it's hard not to. So look, I don't think Netflix messed up on this one. I think they're going to right the wrong. They made sure this is too high profile of a case. I think this is a Diddy screw up. I think this is Diddy screw up. And Rob, and now that I've heard this from multiple people, are you shocked? I want to hear your thoughts. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit that bell for all alerts. Smash that thumbs up as well, and leave your comments down below. A lot more is coming here on the channel. Stay tuned. Sometimes battles you can't fight. I don't think Netflix would have risked a battle in this one, though. Stay tuned.